your new movie, The Powder Room, getting good reviews. Is it a celebration of bad manners?
The movie is a celebration of friendship. There is some bad, I guess, like bad manners. There's things that go wrong. There's things that, you know, a lot of people get up to happen in the movie. And but really, the movie's about like having a quarter-life crisis and realising that actually that doesn't satisfy you, and about friendship kind of prevailing through.
Do you think that in this day that young women are still expected to have better manners than young men?
Yeah, I do. I think if you look at the way that badly behaved men are portrayed in the media and badly behaved women are portrayed in the media, it's very different. Men are like considered rock stars and women are train wrecks still. So.
But there was a time where, and not that long ago, when young women, I'm talking about people in their late teens or early 20s, when women were better behaved, were better mannered than the men of the equivalent age. But you see a lot of behaviour in our streets on a Saturday or Friday night now that suggests they're both as bad as each other.
I suppose you do. I guess there's like...
Which means there's no restraint on the men, because the women used to be the restraint on the men when they got out of line. It was the women that said, stop doing that. That's gone if the women are behaving the same way.
I mean, I think it's probably people's... I don't know if it's women's responsibility to, like, control men and tell them how to live and how to behave. And I think most people know that you can't actually control anyone. And if you tell someone, don't behave like this, and they say, OK, I won't, then they'll do it behind your back. I think that clearly there are problems though, with, like, binge drinking and violence, and those problems do need to be addressed.
Which used to be male monopolies, but aren't anymore.
I guess.
That's the difference, isn't it, Alan?
I think so. I think, you know, I don't think it's a question of manners. I mean, you know,
Yeah,
maybe I've got this wrong, but when I meet young people, I find them incredibly well-mannered, no different to kids when I was young. So I don't think it's been a collapse in manners. There's been a change in lifestyles. Yes. And one of them, as you quite rightly say, Andrew, is instead of men just going out and getting legless on a Friday night, it's men and women doing it.
And I think there's certain things that, like, we need to be addressing that are being completely missed. And that's to do with, you know, like, education being inspiring and interesting for young people, rather than, like, just about purely passing tests and pressure and
being a drudge.
Yeah, and also, like, I mean, I was in Harrow Skate Park the other day, and there was this kid who I met, who I've seen there a couple of times, and he's a really sweet boy. He got kicked out of school because he got into a fight, you know. So obviously he's a bit of a troublemaker, but you can tell he had, like, a really nice, like, a good-hearted boy. He's, like, nice to everyone there, and he goes there to skate. And it made me think of, I saw this trailer documentary recently about the South Bank skate park, and that's being shut down. And things like that are really important for young people to have those places to go and express themselves, and that's real culture that's been created in a genuine way. But
let me bring you back to the picture of the week. I'll just wheel you back in from the skate park.
Is that mine?
It is now.
All right.
The picture, unless it's got my lipstick on it, the picture from South Africa of the Danish PM taking the selfie.
Yeah.
At McDonald's, not funeral, as I said in the voiceover, memorial. It's different,
memorial
but still
service.
A memorial. Was that bad manners?
What I find weird about it is that we're having a discussion about selfies on This Week. That's the most disturbing part to me, the fact that selfies...
We live for selfies. What we've got going for us.
Selfie is in the dictionary, I think, like...
Yeah. So was it bad manners or not?
I mean, I personally would not take a selfie at someone's memorial service, especially if I was a president, a prime minister, and being watched.
You?
So, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I can't appreciate the context entirely. I mean, for example, lots of people are singing at a memorial service.
Yes, because it was partly a celebration.
Because it was partly a celebration. So it clearly does not have the sombre atmosphere of us going to a funeral in a church in this country. I think, however, the three who took the selfie might have figured out that back in their own countries, we would not have the benefit of the context as they appreciated it, and that it might be a pretty bad hostage to fortune.
What did you think?
Thank God for the Danish Prime Minister. I thought it was great. Nothing wrong with it at all. And most people, and the person who would have smiled the most would have been Nelson Mandela. You know, it was a memorial service. They were sitting around for a long periods of time. There were people singing and dancing. They took a selfie.
But what's a like, why? Stop taking selfies, everyone. Like,
it's a fad. It's a fad, isn't it?
I just think it's a bit
It was a photo of 3 people. I mean, they could have got someone else to take it. Does that make it a selfie?
We
If
should
it's got
stop
3
talking
people in
about it. It
yeah,
isn't really
no, it does.
important.
The key's in the word selfie. You take it yourself. The number is not the issue.
But 2 of them didn't take it themselves. 2 of them didn't take it themselves.
Popular culture, you know. What did you make of Michael Wilshaw's point, Alan, with your big interest in education, that what we see, he says, is casual indiscipline, sloppy culture, noisy corridors, children answering back in class, teachers confusing friendliness with familiarity.
That's what you see in bad schools. That's what you see in bad schools, and that's the kind of behaviour that can be transformed just by leadership, just by a head teacher who just will not tolerate that, and that permeates down to the rest of the staff.
I entirely agree with that. Do you think if you use the argument to the well-behaved kids in the class that the other kids are hampering their life chances? Do you think that argument carries any weight? Do you think you can invoke peer pressure?
I think you can. I mean, what always impressed me was the number of kids who behave, who were resentful at the attention paid to those that didn't behave.
And there are examples of that.
Yeah.
It does disrupt class. It stops everyone else going on. But it's a general proposition. Is it not fair to say that kids today are at least as polite and well-mannered as previous generations?
I guess I think that, like, every generation has its own problems, and I think we obviously saw, like, a few years ago with the riots, that, like, there's a lot of unhappy people, and whether you can figure out exactly why that happened doesn't really matter. What matters is that it did happen, and so there is some kind of unhappiness. And I think that you have to work with, like, engaging young people, and it's not about rewarding the bad kids if they do something good. It's about inspiring them and you know, trying to encourage them in ways. If they're not succeeding at academic things, encourage them vocationally and creatively. And
the best way if you're young to be inspired is not to watch this programme. It just brings you down.
Yeah.
Good luck with the movie. It's going great.
Thank you
for
very
giving
much.
us your time tonight.